Welcome to Plastic Model Mojo, a podcast dedicated to scale modeling as well as the news and events around the hobby. Let's join Mike and Kentucky Dave as they strive to be informative, entertaining, and help you keep your modeling mojo alive.
More like, let's join Mike and Kentucky Dave on getting 165 recorded on time.
Hey, we're recording it even a little early.
We are. We got a few days to get this out, but
Yeah.
It's refreshing to try to hopefully be back on track.
Yep. Yes, it is. Again, we apologize, and we are trying to do better.
We are trying to do better. And in trying to do better, Dave, what is up in your model sphere?
Well, my model sphere is mostly been devoted to trying to make my model room better.
Yeah.
The wife's been out of town, and so that gave me some time that I hoped I was going to get to do a lot of modeling and a lot of rearranging. And I've gotten some rearranging done and not as much modeling as I was hoping. But I do have one piece of news for everybody. I may be a mediocre modeler, but I am a really crappy carpenter.
Honesty. I like your honesty, Dave.
Yes. As people who saw the dojo post know, I have the computer has been front and center of my model room, and that's been a problem. And so as part of my model sphere and model room rearrangement, I bought a swing arm that I needed to mount low to be able to swing my laptop out when I needed it, but fold it up and push it up against the wall. It's a really great solution. But the first shelf that I built to hold the swing arm attachment point, there were 5th grade Boy Scout projects that looked better. The second version was a little bit better, but still not perfect. The third version worked out really well and is just what I needed. But the fact that it took me 3 versions and almost a week is sad. So my model room rearranging is going along not as quickly as I want. In other model sphere news, I am prepping for the Nationals. I still need to register. I got to get on that tonight after we record.
When's it close?
I think like the end of this month. They close it or closing it early.
Oh, okay.
So I need to get on it.
So do I.
Anybody else who hasn't, get on it now. In addition, we'll be having guests come in for the Nationals, Dr. Geldmacher and the Podfather. And so I've been communicating and making arrangements with all of those folks. And so and also trying to get accommodations set up. So it's been a whirlwind for me, but it's all good. Nothing to complain about other than I haven't gotten as much time actually modeling at the bench as I wanted to. But even there, I got some time. So that's my model sphere. How about yours?
Well, I've been. It's funny you mentioned your computer because I've been thinking about moving all my computer stuff into the other room in the basement.
For the same reason?
I don't know. I've had a bad stint of YouTube watching and other dumb stuff, and I'm getting tired of it.
Yeah, and that was the logic behind it for me too. It really was. That I find that because it was front and center in my model room at my bench.
It was front and center in your shop time.
Exactly. Whereas now with the swing arm, maybe that's the solution for you. I don't know. But
well, mine's 180 degrees behind my workbench. I mean, I got to turn my chair completely around, but It's not that hard on a swivel
Or
chair.
maybe you need to put a wall in between or something. But in
Well,
any event, this solution for me is working because anytime I'm not actively using it, I close it, I fold it down, and I push it up against the wall. And in doing so, I have tons of extra space and it keeps it from being the center of my modeling universe.
well, in addition to that, I've got to go preview the work our web guys have done. That's ready to look at.
Hmm.
I just took a quick glance, but I haven't really dug into it yet. So I sent those guys an email today saying I was going to do that over the next few days because during the next week I'm going to be on vacation. So there's not going to be much model sphere in the coming week either.
So you're going to take a modeling tackle box with you and a kit, right?
No, but
Okay.
I will be taking my my laptop
Okay. Well,
because this will not get edited on the road.
oh, okay. Well, that's model sphere. That's modeling
It
adjacent.
is, but I tell you, I just been busy. Work has been keeping me busy because I've been hiring a couple people,
Yeah.
and we had like 90 applicants for the position, 2 positions. So
Wow.
it was a lot. It's been a lot, but our best 2 both accepted as of today. So
Okay.
that's done. So I got that monkey off my back, and
Nobody likes doing hiring and firing.
no,
Both,
so
either one.
I wasn't excited about this. I really hope I don't have to fire anybody,
Yeah.
but it'd be my first 2. So we'll see. See how it goes, man.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, that's the model sphere.
Well, good. Since we're recording an actual episode that requires us to have an actual modeling fluid, I'll start.
All right.
My modeling fluid tonight is Dr. Pepper. Over the last month and a half, I've undergone an MRI, a life scan, more blood and chemical tests than you could possibly imagine, all for a result of we're not really sure what happened. And if it happens again, we can test for some more stuff while it happens. But other than that, good
like,
luck.
gee, thanks.
Really. But so that's a way to say that I have not had any adult beverages for about, oh, I guess we're looking at 6, 8 weeks now. And I will hopefully slowly be able to reintroduce some modeling fluid. But for tonight, Dr. Pepper, which is just to let everybody know, one of Mike and I, Mike and my road, when we go on road trips,
tends to show up.
yeah, the cooler tends to be packed. It may be packed with beer for when we get to the dojo, but on the road, Mike and I are drinking Dr. Pepper. How about your modeling fluid?
Since I'm going on vacay, we're in full clean out the fridge mode.
Oh, okay.
This is a all play, ready to drink mojito.
Oh, wow. So just a pre-mixed mojito. What's is it like one of those 5% alcohol drinks or
I don't know. I haven't looked.
okay. Well, you'll have to tell us
We'll
at the
tell
end
us
of
at
the
the end. I don't
episode.
have time to look while you're running your mouth.
You like mojitos?
I like good ones, so we'll see.
Do you?
See how this
Okay,
goes.
well, we'll see if this is a good one. I kind of wonder about anything that's pre-mixed.
Yes,
So,
we'll dissect it at the end.
all right. So why don't we get into some mail?
We do. We got some good ones. A little
Good.
lighter, but we haven't had as many weeks to accumulate. So maybe
Right.
maybe we're back to the normal amount. I don't know.
Yeah.
First up is from Daniel Brewer, and he wants to know.
Do we know where Daniel's from?
We do not.
Okay. Folks, be sure to tell us your geography.
But Daniel Brewer
Yeah.
wants to know what color version manufacturer of OD green do you recommend for a 1 to 144th scale Sherman doing Pacific War or Marine Corps Sherman?
You could do almost any color that is anywhere near OD, just simply because, especially in the Pacific, those things are subjected to salt and sun and sand. And there are actually, though, I'll tell you what, there are a lot of color films of Pacific Sherman. So,
Yeah.
now you're going off of color film from 80 years ago or 70 years ago, but that'll give you at least the idea of the fact that there were so many variations of the color. I don't know that there's one right OD. What OD do you tend to use for US military vehicles?
I haven't built one in ages, but if he wants a technical answer here, all the Shermans that rolled off the factory line in the United States were in the standard OD green,
Right.
which has an FS number, and I don't know how consistent the color was, but it's going to deviate and say it's for a new vehicle, it's not quite anything goes. It has a federal standard number. The Marine Corps, when they took possession of their Shermans, sometimes, and I don't know what percentage, and I don't know how often, but they were repainted in a darker color, a forest green, Marine Corps forest green. Sometimes it's called lusterless forest green, lusterless or flat Marine Corps green. It's a different federal standard number. I have no idea what percentage of the vehicles were repainted between delivery and deployment
Mhm.
or after. I don't know, but to your point, depending on what kind of weather you're going to do, unless you're doing a new one on a deck of a landing ship or something,
Right.
I don't know. If you want to start with a darker color, maybe, but then again, you're in such a small scale. I don't know it's going to matter too much. But
Yeah.
if you want to go after this color, I know it exists in the AK real color line, and I suspect it exists elsewhere. Is there? I bet Vallejo has one,
I would bet too.
but it's just a little bit different color. I don't know how different. I've never seen them side by side, but
See, now I had no clue that the Marine Corps repainted some percentage. Was that just for their Shermans, or did they
I don't
repaint
know. I don't
all
know.
their vehicles? Huh.
Maybe in all their vehicles.
Okay.
Somebody may know better than me. I may be off base, but that's the way I understand it.
Post that question on the dojo. I guarantee you'll have somebody who knows backwards, forwards, sideways, and upside down everything the Marine Corps was doing to their Shermans in World War II. So post it on the dojo, and I guarantee you'll get a good answer.
At least one. Well, I asked John McAvoy for some clarification on the topic he thought we ought to consider.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still not going to divulge it, but he had a little scale confusions. That was the source of my disconnect from what he was asking.
Oh, okay.
So we're going to take this under advisement. It's an interesting one. We can talk about it offline, but we're going to have to find somebody who actually does this.
Okay.
Would be the way to go. But thank you, John, for heeding my request to get back with me and help me out, help me understand. Now I do. So all clear. James Mirando has written in again. He was the chairman and president of Wine Country Model Club and their expo out there.
Right.
And I guess we talked a little bit about better shows for modelers in episode 164.
Mm-hmm.
And he was struck particularly by, you said it in 164, and I think one of us had said it before, but we never really anticipated the model show spotlights to become a vehicle for exploring what makes model shows worthwhile or different or memorable or whatever.
Yep.
It started as a way just to promote shows with hope of driving a little bit of attendance, but that was probably a little presumptuous on our reach. Maybe not, but this new take is a lot different, though. I think he says it deserves significant credit for helping drive the conversation. Well, we appreciate that.
And even though that was not our original intent, it's become a feature of the show spotlight, where now we actually intentionally look for shows that may be a little different, or shows that are doing something different, or even with the shows that we're familiar with, we always go out of our way to ask the guys putting on the show, what are you doing? What have you changed? If you've changed something, why have you changed it? And like I said, not our original intention, but we are really pleased that it has gone in that direction.
Well, then, especially in the last year or so, we've been very intentional about
Yes.
seeking out shows that were running alternate formats.
Yep. And we're doing that as we speak.
We are. He also says, I made the comment about the whole point is the betterment and furthering of the hobby.
Yep.
He liked that as well. And he says, if that's truly the goal, then perhaps one way to evaluate a model show is not by attendance or vendor count or even the number of models on the table, but how meaningful the interactions it creates between modelers are.
I completely agree.
How many conversations happen otherwise wouldn't have, how many techniques were shared, how many new friends or connections were made. And he says those things are probably difficult to measure, but they may be among the most important outcomes of attending a show.
Yeah, I was going to say that obviously it's much tougher to measure that, but I would also agree that that's probably a good metric for calling a show a success. Now somebody can just figure out how to quantify that.
I guess the slow roll would be more shows adopting this kind of format.
Yeah.
If it gets popular, then there's your answer. He wants to appreciate your comments, Dave, about seminars and their importance.
Mm-hmm.
That was a significant part of the Wine Country Model Expo, and for exactly the reasons you mentioned, Dave. And there's still something uniquely valuable about being able to speak with or ask questions directly with another modeler in real time. So your point there was well taken.
I am a big fan of the seminars, always have been, always will be. And like I said, YouTube, podcasts, all of that have been great for modeling, but there is nothing quite as good as actually attending a seminar, learning from somebody in real time, and interacting in real time.
And finally, I want to say something about our comments on especially the social aspects of this exhibition style format. He says one thing they've observed is even small changes, such as name badges or grouping all of a builder's modelers together, can have an outsized effect on encouraging conversation.
Yep, I agree. And making name badges larger and getting them up toward people's faces. It's one of the criticisms I've had of the Nationals, and for that matter, Wonderfest as well. They use the lanyards, and so the names are hanging down around the belt buckle. And whereas, and people who put on sales conventions and things like that will tell you you want a big name tag up by the neck and face so that you see the name as you're interacting with the person.
Better not pass out in the dojo. I'm going to write Dave on your forehead.
There you go. That's okay. That's okay.
Well, that was nice. And we didn't suggest you guys put on the show that way. You guys went and did all the work. We're just commenting on it and
Right.
and recognizing the value in it and trying to spread the word and help pump it up a little bit, because it's clearly working out well for both Wine Country and Scott's group out in the Rocky Mountain Expos.
Well, and the other nice thing is getting this feedback.
Oh,
so not only are we promoting, hey, we really like the ideas, but then to have them come back after the show and say, this was really a success, this was really a success, and then we go back to them the next year and say, what are you doing different this year?
Yep, that's true. Well, Jeff Adanich has written in again. He's from Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay. And, thank you for the geography, folks.
He was the B-17 family plane potential builder that kind of spawned your comment about building one. Then you know how it went down.
Right, I remember.
I practiced one, and then we had a listener think that maybe wasn't the greatest idea, and we had a conversation about that in the last episode. It was his grandfather who was a mechanic at an air depot in England. I guess where they bring the planes in before they go to the squadrons, probably.
Right. He needs to have a conversation with our guest tonight.
Yes, that would be good.
Well, we'll have to hook those two people up.
Well, his experience in conquering these fear targets weaves a little into our conversation, he says. whether you should just jump right into a kit or practice first. And that was kind of the advice to give to the listener who was looking to or who was returning to the hobby a couple episodes before that, because his first email was in response to that conversation.
Right.
So this thing's got a life of its own, man. Just keeps going.
That's what we want.
He says he just has to jump into a kit, and jumping in is what will let you know what you're good at and what skills you need to work on. From that point, you have the opportunity to work on those skills on the kit itself or some kind of side quest, which kind of messes with maybe a practice a little bit.
Right.
You can simulate and practice what you need to work on before getting the kit totally complete, which kind of gets into Steve Hustad's experimentation too.
Right.
And he kind of uses both these methods. He says, think Mark Watney in The Martian.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Solve one problem, then move on to the next one and keep solving them long enough. And
you get to come home.
And yes, you get to come home where you have a pretty nice model.
Right.
He's working on some water and ground effects for a sci-fi vignette he's doing, and a small scale, a 28 millimeter Continental Army diorama he's working on.
Oh, cool. I love Revolutionary War stuff.
So textured water and land bases haven't been something he's done a lot of. And what he does is he breaks these down in like little 2x2 inch test plaques, does a little bit, see what he likes. And when he gets something he likes, he makes it a little bigger, see if it scales.
Yeah.
And then just kind of goes from there. Rinse and repeat as needed. Failure is a part of skill development. You need to keep solving problems, and you say to yourself, I think this is going to work. Or as the engineer would say, that's good enough.
That's good enough. That's right.
He says the success does make modeling a heck of a lot of fun. So, well, Jeff, thanks for writing back in and giving us your take on that. And all good stuff. I think we probably fall into the practice camp at this point.
Yes, I'm trying more and more.
And I did a lot of these little about 2x2 test plaques when I was doing the groundwork for that little Airfix Beaufort and Morris tractor I built.
It's about time for you to do another one of those.
It is. Where did I get those things? There were Formica samples.
Yeah.
And they were on one of those beaded chains, like a ceiling fan chain, that kind of chain. And there must have been 400 of them on there.
Yep.
And I got them out of a dumpster at one of my apartments I used to live in years ago. And I still have just scores of those things. But I made up a bunch of little, I tried a lot of stuff before I got to where I wanted to go on that. So it's kind of what Jeff is saying there.
Yep.
Well, my last email is from Orion Campbell, and he's from Kamloops, British Columbia.
Okay.
That's a new one for me.
I know where it is.
Couple of things from episode 164. Tamiya paints, the XF line, are the best option for where he lives. And we all know they don't have a specific 4BO paint in their line because it's a very limited selection in the Tamiya line. As far as paint lines go, it's on the small side. And he heard me talking about doing the color match and some bulk mix up in the last episode. And I'd come up with a good 4BO using equal parts of Tamiya paints. He wants to know if it's a top secret, if I would divulge it. Well, I'll divulge it. And I'm also writing a short article on it that's going to appear on the website eventually. But it's more about how I arrived there. And the ratios just kind of I don't know, happy accident or happenstance. I don't know. It just kind of worked out. So this color will get you in the ballpark. I would say this color will get you in the grass of the infield, to make a baseball analogy. So you're going to want equal parts, 1 to 1 to 1, of XF4, which is yellow-green, XF49, which is khaki, and XF58, which is olive green. And you're going to mix those up. You're going to get a medium to light green color that's pretty vibrant. It's kind of skewed toward the yellow side of the spectrum. And it's a really good match for what I was trying to accomplish. So I'll explain more of that in the article, and when that's out there and available, everybody will know about it.
Yeah, and you happen to, because of your other hobby, you actually have a number of items that have been painted in that particular paint color.
And I would say they're all more closer together than they are far apart. So
right.
If that makes any sense.
Yes.
Well, and then you had something else in that episode about undercoating your bare metal and future.
Future, yes.
And I guess our our friends over on the Model Geeks had a similar conversation at some point
Oh, I did
for
not know.
natural metal finishes, and I guess they're using gloss black.
Yeah, that you could do that.
And he also couldn't remember if it was on an old Sprue Cutters Union or on Will Patterson's YouTube channel, but he had talked about, I think, gloss black or any gloss under natural metal. And I don't know if some colors will shift the metal colors over them. I don't know. Depends on how opaque they are, I guess. But I guess these all let the metal particles kind of settle down on a flat, smooth surface, and you're going to get a lot more metallized effect out of it.
Right. And the benefit that I see from it is that because anytime you put down a metallic surface, it shows every scratch and every flaw in the plastic. And what the gloss, either future or gloss black, in fact, I think Alclad actually makes a gloss black base
I think
for
you're right.
using under their products. The benefit of the future for me is it goes on the model, it's self-leveling, so what it does is it settles into those scratches and fills them, which means that when you go to put on the actual metal finish, you don't see nearly as much of the underlying sanding and filling work
Yeah.
that might have had to have been done on the kit.
And he mentions that too. And I guess the point is that really the technique shouldn't necessarily have to be married to future as a product, that
Right,
any properly reduced gloss is going to do that leveling and filling,
exactly.
and all that. So other options out there. And I guess he makes the final point is why he's kind of curious. And the colored undercoats is he's thinking about doing some kind of panel variations using different colors of gloss under the bare metal, natural metal
Mhm.
colors. See what that does. I don't know what it'll do, if it'll do anything.
Well,
It's going to depend on the opacity of the metal finishes.
and that's kind of on the same theme as what you did with the not Jake, not Roof,
Paul,
Paul. Thank you. I couldn't get to that. Japanese float plane. I just
yes,
couldn't get to Paul. You did something similar with undercoating various panels in various colors to try and get some tonal variation on
yeah,
the and break up the green.
and they were all. I'd actually used. They were all Tamiya clear colors,
Right.
which are
Pretty
really glossy in the end. But I wasn't doing a bare metal finish, so I didn't
right.
get that effect. But yeah, it worked pretty well. I think if I do it again, I'll back off the top coat a little bit more and not obscure as much. But
Right.
you can still see it. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm really pleased with the way that model came out. But again, that's not natural metal.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, that is everything that's come in this installment via email. What do you got from direct messages, man?
Well, we've got fewer direct messages just simply because we're recording so quickly after the other one. But our friend Warren Dickinson down in Southern Kentucky, who I got to go to Wonderfest with, emailed me. I put out the plea for organizational tips, and particularly organizational tips for stripped styrene and tube metal and plastic tubing. I got a couple of responses on that. One was Warren, who talked about making some dividers to stick in drawers, like a custom made flatware organizing tray that would
Yeah.
go in a drawer that, but instead of knives and forks and spoons, it's strip styrene, brass tube, etc., etc. And he also reminded me that he was the person who took me over to that booth and told me I had to see those glasses.
The Wonder
So
glasses,
I
yeah.
I should have given him credit for that. So and he gave me a little bit of heck about that. But thank you, Warren, for responding to that. And again, I'm going to put that plea out there again. Model room organizational tips. A couple of people have sent stuff to me. Please keep sending it. I'll try and cull out the best stuff. I'll try different things and I'll report back on the dojo or or on the podcast or wherever. So please keep that up. Dave Goldfinch reached out to me because in an episode of On the Bench a while ago, he made a musical reference, and I sent him an email, which he read on his last episode. Tongue in cheek, go listen to the OTB episode to listen for the email. We had a little bit of fun back and forth, and then he was DMing me, carrying it on even further, accusing me of using $5 lawyer words. So I just
Is that Aussie
said,
dollars?
I just said he didn't have a very big vocabulary, but hey. Michael Grazabian DM'd me two things. One, he said, yes, your pronunciation that you told me is indeed how his name is pronounced, so score one for you. Number two, he also sent me a series of DMs on organization. And I got to say, both he and Warren and Steve Hustad are all much more organized than I am. And it shows, and it also shows in their modeling. So I do think there is something to being more organized equals being more productive. So I want to thank Michael for the tips. Again, folks, keep sending them in. I'm going to do some of this stuff. I'm going to experiment, and I'll report back, and hopefully we can all benefit out of this. Finally, on the DM side, Ethan Eidenmill sent us a very nice DM talking about AI and technology and all of the changes in the hobby that are coming from not just AI, but various technologies. And Ethan sent in a really nice, thoughtful DM at some length talking about, saying very nice things to us about how we handled the subject, but then talking about his view that AI is neither good nor bad. It is simply another tool, and how that tool ends up being integrated into the hobby will have pluses and minuses, but it isn't the AI, it's what it's used for and what the result is that dictates whether it's a plus or a minus for the hobby. It was a very nice, very thoughtful DM, and I really appreciated somebody who not only listened to the episodes and heard what you and I were saying, but actually put some and you could really tell. I mean, like I said, this was not a quick DM, it was a thoughtful response. Somebody who took the time to actually think a little deeply on the subject. And I've got to say, I very much liked his take, and I agree with it.
Y'all done?
That was the last one, my man.
Well, that wasn't so bad. That was plenty, man. There were some good ones in there this time.
No, there were.
Well, folks, if you want to write into the show, please do so. You can send us an email at plasticmodelmojo@gmail.com, or you can send a direct message via the Facebook Messenger system, or you can use the feedback web link on the website or in the show notes for each and every episode. So keep them coming, folks.
Yes, please do.
We really like them.
And particularly those organization ones. I'm really liking those things. Please keep those coming.
Well, Dave, we got our old friend, Mark Copeland, our new old friend, I guess.
Yes.
Back with us. Mark is the Director of Educational Travel with the Museum of the Mighty 8th Air Force down in Savannah, Georgia area. And he's going to come tell us about the next season's worth of tours and travel he's got going on.
And I can't wait to hear about it.
Dave, we got an old friend with us tonight.
Yes, we do.
Our booking agent for our show travel. And tonight we're going to discuss how to make accommodations at major model shows.
There you go.
Yes.
Actually, we're not. We have Mr. Mark Copeland with us again tonight, who is tell us what you are, Mark.
I'm the Director of Educational Travel with the National Museum of the Mighty Eighth Air Force located in Pooler, Georgia.
Which is down near Savannah.
Correct. But I actually, to truth be told, I live in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I work remotely.
I thought that was a South Carolina accent you had.
No. No, I'm a Yankee.
Well,
No, it's
that's
great.
all
It's great to be with you guys. It's
we
always
miss
a
you,
joy.
man. It's been a few months since we've seen you, and we're not going to see you till the national convention, but we'll get to that at the end of this. But well, you mentioned the Mighty Eighth Air Force Museum. What's going on down there these days?
Well, thanks for asking, guys. Again, thank you for the opportunity to be on the program here tonight. And yeah, it's kind of almost a point now where it's what's not happening at the museum. We were under a capital funding campaign for the last few years to put on a major, major extension and expansion project to the tune of just over $15 million. We've reached that goal and construction is underway. I was just in Savannah about 2 weeks ago and had a full tour of the place, and it's absolutely amazing. Just really, really going to be a special, expansion and addition. And the museum is now celebrating its 30th year, and it's going to get basically a complete facelift. I'm going to be involved in some of the curatorial things on some of the displays and some of the content at the museum, and it's going to be really something. So that's really the big thing going on. We also just received. We found a 1920s or early 30s vintage. It's actually a German-built 40-8 boxcar that just was brought over, came up the Savannah River in a container from Europe, and we are going to put that into an addition. We actually have documentation that it did carry at one time Allied airmen in some sort of a transportation capacity, whether they carried 8th Air Force crewmen to a Luftstalag or something along that line, but it was basically used in terms of transport of the Allied airmen. That's going to be obviously put into the museum, and it's going to be part of our POW exhibit, which will be very powerful. Well, it's seen better days, but we're going to leave it as is. It's not going to be restored. We just wanted to leave it in the condition that it's that we found it. The biggest thing, though, was we worked for probably close to 8 years, and we were in competition with about 7 or 8 other museums throughout the United States. Down at Barksdale Air Force Base in Shreveport, Louisiana, if anybody's been there, there's the gate guards or the airplanes outside, and there was a consolidated B-24J that is the last surviving Ford-built Ypsilanti, Michigan, Willow Run, straight consolidated B-24J Liberator left in the world out of the over 13,000 that they built. The problem was that it was sitting out in the Louisiana sunshine and the conditions down there, and it was showing its age. So the Air Force decided that they wanted to get it inside. So we were the only museum that guaranteed that we could put the airplane inside our new expansion and do it properly. So they signed off on it, and we're getting a B-24 Liberator, which kind of is like trying to find unicorn teeth. There's not a lot of them out there. And so we're really excited that we're getting a Liberator to join the city of Savannah, the beautiful B-17G that we have.
Well, my brother, I've got tons of pictures of that bird sitting out at Barksdale because my brother was stationed. He was B-52 bombardier navigator, stationed at Barksdale almost his entire career. So I know the birds you're talking about, and I am really glad it's going to be restored and preserved inside because, I mean, it's such a pretty airplane.
It is. It's a like I mentioned, a straight B-24J. I can't divulge that. I think it's going to be just an interesting visual contrast, in my opinion. Our B-17, of course, the city of Savannah is in natural metal. It's
Right.
a late B-17G with the Cheyenne turret, stagger waist positions, etc. It's probably, in terms of the interior and what we've done to restore it over the last 10 years, it's probably the most complete B-17 that's non-flyable in the world. All the turrets work. It's an astounding restoration. And the B-24 is actually going to be a contrast to that, and it's going to be painted in an olive drab and neutral gray paint scheme. We're still, kind of under debate on what group we're going to represent, or the aircraft that we're going to represent. There's a lot of different opinions, but we're doing a lot of research with some historians over in England, and we'll certainly, that'll be obviously a topic of social media, when the airplane is actually painted.
Sure.
So the airplane is going to be brought up to Savannah in parts, of course. We're literally going to take one side off of the museum, the north side of the museum, to get the airplane in, and then it'll be reassembled once the restoration is put to that point. So it's, if anybody's ever been to our museum, there's a thing called the combat experience, where you basically go in and fly a simulated mission, and it's very powerful. And once you have this mission experience, you come out, the two airplanes will be parked nose to nose, a B-17 Flying Fortress and a consolidated B-24J Liberator. And that'll be really powerful, really, really
Now,
powerful.
when is the museum gonna break ground on the
Already
expansion?
has. Already
Okay.
has. Yeah, the inner structure, the beams, the inner structure is completed, and the outer portion of the shall we say, the skin of the building is on, and now they're working on the interior. When it's going to be finished, place your bets.
Right.
That it's a big project. Like I said, I'm going to be involved with some of the things in regards to the exhibit labeling and telling the story of the 8th Air Force in about 9 different parts. I'm going to be heavily involved in that, as far as the telling the story correctly with the history of the 8th Air Force. So we're looking at probably sometime, maybe late 27, maybe early 28, as far as the project being completed. So yeah, so to answer your question, what's going on at the museum? A lot right now.
Sounds like it.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, good. Well, that's cool, because that's kind of cursory to your main function there.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
know
Like,
you got a bunch of tours coming up.
oh, do I? Yeah. Right now, I've got 7 tours going on for our 2026 and 2027 tour schedule. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Oh,
Oh,
that's
yes.
one
That's
Yeah,
what
reason
it's
we
we
had
great.
you
wanna
on, man.
know.
Yeah, well, thanks, guys. Yeah, as I mentioned, I'm the director of educational travel for the museum, and my background, for those that don't know, is a very long story. Being a student of 8th Air Force history, for many, many years, I was involved in many volunteer things with the 8th Air Force Historical Society for many years, the 100th Bomb Group Foundation for many years, and was really mentored by my dear late friend Roger Freeman, who was the author of The Mighty Eight. And I got this position. I was in the airline industry for about 33 years, I guess, a little more than that. And they came to me, just with my knowledge and my extensive travels to England. I just got done with a tour in April, and that was number 58. That was my 58th time to Great Britain. And
Wow.
so I just know a lot of people, and how I got this job is that they wanted to develop an educational travel program. So they asked me to basically compose this, and, in their words, to compose it and make a dream trip. And so we started off with an 8th Air Force tour, and that's been quite successful. That's obviously our forte, but we've really kind of expanded. And just to go back to the original point, our 2026 tour schedule, in early October, actually the 4th through the 15th, we're examining something that nobody's ever done before. And it's such an important part of 8th Air Force history. Not to get into statistics, but there was 26,000 8th Air Force airmen killed in action during World War II. However, there were also 28,000 8th Air Force airmen that were shot down or went down and were captured by the Germans, and were put into Luftstalags. So we're doing a tour to examine that journey, called the Behind the Wire tour. And that's going to be in early October, the 4th through the 15th. We're starting in Berlin, and just some of the highlights. We're going to Stalag Luft 1. We're going to Peenemünde, where the vengeance weapons were done. We're doing an extensive tour of Berlin, both World War II history and the Cold War. We're going to be going up to Rostock after that, and then those two sites that I mentioned earlier. Then down to Dresden, we're going to go to Colditz Castle, which is really cool.
Neat.
And then we're also going to a museum inside of the Czech Republic. On the 11th of September 44, the 100th Bomb Group lost 12 B-17s in and around that area in a really fierce air battle. And there's a museum dedicated to that battle and the history of it in a little town called Kovaska in the Czech Republic. And then the last one that we're going to kind of crescendo with is we're going to Stalag Luft 3. And of course, that's the site of the Great Escape, which is just unbelievable. Great curator, excellent museum. We're taking a lot of people that had either a father or a relative that was there. I mean, they have it so well documented. Of course, all the huts are gone. They've been gone for years, but the structures, as if anyone remembers, like watching Masters of the Air or even The Great Escape, all the huts were elevated off the ground, except for the wash basins, the shower basins. Those had to be on terra firma. But they have such excellent documentation in terms of their records. If somebody mentions a name, my father was such and such, he can say, oh, they were in hut number 118, bunk number 7. And I asked him, how can you get that detailed? He said, German records.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
I would
So
imagine.
so that's really exciting. We also have another tour coming up called the Echoes of East Anglia, which is immediately following that, the 21st through the 28th, and that is our kind of our patented, tried and true 8th Air Force tour. We actually start in London. We actually have a property in Windsor. We take you out to High Wycombe, which is very hard to get into. It's a private girls' school. The significance of that is that it was pine tree. That was 8th Air Force headquarters during World War II. And we actually take you to the point where you come in and you stand in the very office of Ira Aker and Jimmy Doolittle. And we explore the history of that and some other sites. We stay in Bury St. Edmunds, and we do, what is it, a total of four B-17 bases, 2 fighter group bases, and 2 B-24 bases in that time frame. And so that's what we got going for the fall of 2026. And then in 2027, to celebrate the fact that we're getting a B-24, and also to caveat on, I don't know if your listeners know about a biopic movie that's coming out actually specifically on November the 6th. It's a movie called Jimmy. And what it is, it's a biopic about the life of the famous Hollywood movie actor Jimmy Stewart. And so, if anybody knows a little bit about that, he enlisted in the Air Corps. He already had 400 hours of time by the time that he went into flight training, and he did 20 real combat missions with the 445th Bomb Group at Tiverton and the 453rd Bomb Group at Old Buckingham. And anyway, after the war, Jimmy came home, and he really just didn't know how he was going to jumpstart his Hollywood career. And he was at the top of his game after winning the Best Actor Academy Award for the Philadelphia Story when he enlisted. So he had been gone out of the Hollywood spotlight, for a good 4 years. So he was just kind of lost and really didn't know, how he was going to, kind of get back into the limelight or get back into acting. And then along came Frank Capra, and he came up to Jimmy and said, "Hey, I've got this script. I think you'd be perfect for the lead part." The character's name is George Bailey, and the movie's called It's a Wonderful Life. And that's how he started his career again.
And what's funny about that is that George Bailey plays the character of George Bailey is, because of a disability, unable to go into the military in
That's
World
right.
War
Yeah,
II.
yeah, there is kind of some irony there. Well,
Yeah.
getting back to the tours, we're composing a thing where we're highlighting the B-24. And we're doing a thing called the Second to None Tour. And we're basing it once again in London, and we're going to be staying in Norwich and exploring a lot of the B-24 bases in and around the area, Ketteringham Hall, which was 2nd Air Division headquarters, living in a very, very nice hotel in Norwich, and then we work our way back down to London and such. And then the other one that I'm really, really excited about, I advocated to do this because I just thought nobody is doing this in the United States, and it's such an incredibly important time, not only in world history, but certainly in World War II. We're doing a tour. This is next September 10th through the 21st. We're doing a tour called A Salute to the Few, and it's a Battle of Britain tour. And once again, we're going to start in London. We're going to work our way down south. Just the high points, we're going to Biggin Hill.
Oh,
We're going
yeah.
to Tangmere. We're going on Battle of Britain Day, which is the 15th of September. We're going to be at the Battle of Britain Memorial at Capel-le-Fern and attending that ceremony, the remembrance ceremony. And then we're going to Hawkinge. And then all the way up, we'll circle around London. We're going to stop at Hornchurch. And then upwards, we'll be staying in Cambridge at this ridiculously nice hotel called the University Arms. And we're going to Debden, which of course has a lineage to the 8th Air Force. It was a principal base for 11th Group protecting the north side of London during the Battle of Britain, but it was eventually turned over to the Americans in late September of 1942 and was the home of the 4th Fighter Group. The following day, which is probably one of the high points of the tour, I've secured and got us gold VIP access and seating at the Saturday of the Duxford Air Show weekend, which
Oh,
is going to be spectacular. So you're in a marquee. You've got special seating, and behind you is a full bar and buffet, and you can sit down and enjoy a nice pint and watch Spitfires and Hurricanes fly around all afternoon. That's not a bad day. And
no.
plus that, you got the best seats in the house. There's no obstructions whatsoever in front of you. So it's a photographer's dream. And then we'll go back once we finish that, we'll make a stop at North Weald, and we're also in London doing a couple Battle of Britain related sites. We'll go to Bentley Priory, which was Dowding's headquarters, the Battle of Britain bunker at Uxbridge. We'll be visiting Northwood Cemetery, where there's a section where it's all the Polish Battle of Britain pilots that were killed during that time, including Yossi Franisek, who was the highest scoring acer pilot in the Battle of
Little
Britain.
Britain.
Yep. And then after that, we're doing another of our 8th Air Force tours in 27. And then tentatively for 2028 in the spring, we're going to do a thing called a 13th Combat Bomb Wing Tour. And if you loved Masters of the Air like I sure did, like everybody did, this will be highlighting and featuring 3 major bases: the 95th Bomb Group at Horham, the 390th Bomb Group at Framlingham, and lastly, we'll spend a copious amount of time at the 100th Bomb Group Museum, Memorial Museum at Thorpe Abbotts. Out of all the tour groups that go to that place, and obviously they've had a significant rise in popularity, we're their favorite group. They recommend our group the most, simply because, as they put it, you guys get it. We really make it. They really roll out the red carpet. So if anybody wanted to really get into, the history of Masters of the Air and the bloody 100th, you will get a better tour than what we provide. They actually take us over to some places that they normally don't allow other tour groups to go to, and there's a lot of kind of before and after experiences on it, and it's just great. And then afterwards, that when we visit that base, we go to a pub that was kind of the local during the war. That's where a lot of the airmen and the ground crewmen and so forth would go up and have a pint and visit with the local establishment, and then usually ride back to the base in the dark on a bicycle. And many times that was probably more dangerous than flying a mission over Berlin. So yeah, so that's our tour schedule, and it's really exciting. I'm really proud of the things that we're doing, and some of the things that are really out of the box, like the Battle of Britain tour, the second to none tour, the POW tour that we have coming up this October. So it's pretty exciting.
Now, you mentioned that a lot of the people who take these tours are
Hmm.
the children and
Yeah,
grandchildren and other
yeah, yeah,
relatives of people
yeah.
who actually were involved but they're actually open to anybody,
Oh,
right?
of
I
course.
mean, anybody
Absolutely.
can sign up. You don't have to be
No. No.
anything.
We
You
have,
have an interest in the subject.
oh, yeah, absolutely. And then, going back to our hobby, just as far as the Path to Liberation tour, the Normandy tour, which goes October 28th till November 5th. That's a Thursday. And I don't know how this happened, but it's just such a coincidence that, right after that tour's finished, your tour leader is going to be heading north, and I'm going to go to Telford.
What a
Isn't that funny?
coincidence.
I
What a
know. Isn't that
coincidence.
amazing?
And I am certain that if any modeler happened to be on that tour,
I
they
think
could
they
follow you to Telford.
or
You
join me
you
or what may
you
have you.
you
In
would
fact,
you would lead the way?
I've done that a couple times with folks, good friends in Wisconsin that came on a tour, and then I actually, well, I don't mess around. I just rent a car and go, and we went up to Telford. But yeah, there's trains and ways to get up there. But if you've ever had a dream of going to that show, I love the IPMS Nationals here in the U.S. It's fantastic. It's one of the things I look forward to the most out of the year. But going to Telford it's the IPMS Nationals on steroids. It's
Yeah.
it's incredible, incredible, and they really celebrate the hobby. I think a lot more than what we do here in the United States. They they aren't so fixated on competition and the contest and things on that nature. They really have a lot of things where groups will display like special interest groups and particular clubs, and it's really just a really positive, almost kind of a party atmosphere, and it's just a whole different vibe. And of course, the vendors, well, needless to say, those are deadly. So anyway, yeah,
Well,
And
you
and
mentioned it, and I think we need to go back. You actually missed the Path to Liberation tour when you're talking about 2026.
yes. Did I mention? Oh,
Y-
yeah, that's our. Oh gosh, thank you very much. I apologize. Yeah, going back to this fall, a Path to Liberation is our Normandy tour. And we don't start the tour in Paris or anything in France. We actually start that tour in England. And here's the reason why. It's not easy to get into, and I'm sure because of the popularity right now, it's a little bit more difficult, but we've got great friends. So we start off our Normandy trip by we have a property in Windsor that's about 20 minutes outside of London. And we stayed there for the first night. The next day we get up, we load up the bus, and we head down south, and we go to Portsmouth, and we go in to Southwick House. And if anybody has seen the recent movie Pressure, if you've seen the movie, that's great. But we take you there. It's not easy to get into, but we actually go into the actual place where the map room is still located. It hasn't been touched since 1944, and we have a fantastic curator that does a great lecture. And then we actually go into the room where the actual decision was made by Eisenhower, and we start our D-Day tour by having a champagne reception in that room. And then we leave and we head down towards Kent and down towards Dover in a beautiful manor house that we stay at for the night. Then the next morning we get up, we're going under the channel. We take the channel over to the Pas de Calais, drive down to a chateau that is ridiculous called the Chateau Saint Gilles outside of Bayeux, and you'll get an experience where you'll go to all five beaches. We do the Airborne Museum at Saint Merglis. Then we go to the Fear Bridge. We go to the Normandy Institute. We go to Pegasus Bridge. We do the D-Day experience, the Overlord Museum. Probably in my favorite out of that trip, and the most special thing is when you walk into the cemetery, the American cemetery at Colleville-sur-Mer, if you let it, it'll change your life. It's
yeah.
just unbelievable. And they allow our group in regards to not only just all the servicemen and women that lie in rest there, but more specifically, the 8th Air Force veterans that lie there. And they allow us to do a special wreath laying ceremony, which is very, very, obviously very emotional, very meaningful, and very powerful. And then once the tour is concluded, we'll go right back the way we came, and we are going actually up to the Pas de Calais, and just for the experience, we're going to go over and take the ferry across so you can get a really nice panoramic view of the White Cliffs of Dover and the like. And then we actually go right back to Windsor where we started, and then folks go home from there. So, and a lot of people,
or go to
I'm sorry,
Telford.
or go to
Or go to
Telford,
Telford.
exactly. And a lot of our guests come in a couple days early, or they want to stay a couple days late to goof around in London. We can guarantee getting the group rate at that hotel, or we'll make arrangements to get you into central London to take a few days to see the city a little bit more completely. We also, in regards to our visits to London, I'm good friends with the retired director of the Churchill War Rooms, and we do a thing. We don't do just a normal tour off the street, so to speak. We have a specially guided tour by one of the museum specialists, and they do a thing called a behind the glass tour. And they open up the doors, and we actually go inside the cabinet room,
Oh,
the broadcast room, which was Churchill's bed, or his bedroom there. He only slept there like 4 times during the war. He didn't like sleeping there. He liked to stay up in kind of where the action was, so to speak. But yet, and then we also go into the communications room. But just going into those amazing pieces of history, and not only visually do you see it, but what the smell is like, and
mhm.
what it sounds like. And it's just an incredible experience. And then our last thing that we go to St. Paul's Cathedral, which is obviously one of the most famous buildings in the world, let alone one of the most, obviously the most well-known churches in the world. Behind the high altar in St. Paul's is the American chapel. And guys, I have no idea how this happened, and I can't guarantee it, but it's happened on our last 5 tours. We go back into the American Chapel on our tour, and contained in that little area is this thing called the American Roll of Honor. It's this enormous book that was commissioned by Dwight Eisenhower and presented to the church in 1946. And what it is, it's a big book that alphabetically names all those Americans killed in action in defense of Britain during World War II. And they have it in this massive, massive glass case. So when I first started to develop this tour, I said, I've got to have a knockout punch. We live in 4 and 5 star hotels. We eat and drink very well, and live the high life. But when it really comes down to looking at all this history, what was the cost? And I could think of no other place to go than St. Paul's. Every day since 1958, when that book was dedicated, except for Christmas and Easter, they open up the top of the glass case and they turn a page. And all those names on those pages was a human being, was a human life. It was certainly a son, a husband, a cousin, a nephew. It was a human life, and probably the reason they're in that book is their life ended way too short, and they gave everything in regards to the ultimate sacrifice. It's very emotional for our folks. And so we started off to where the verger that does it, just turned a page, and we got a chance to witness that. Now it's gotten to the point where they allow each of our tour participants, if they wish, to turn a page in the American Roll of Honor in St. Paul's Cathedral. How that happens, I don't know. I have no idea, but
Because
it's
you're a good tour organizer.
yeah. Well, we just made great friends there, and
Yeah.
they understand the sincerity and the passion that we have, or I at least try to emulate that to them, and we've just made great friends. And it's an experience. They actually take the book, and they push it all the way to the front and open up the cover, and there it's signed by Dwight Eisenhower. It's crazy. It's nuts. And like I said, it's just a really special moment, and certainly a lasting memory for our tour participants.
If somebody wants to take one of these tours,
Yeah.
how do they go about doing that?
Mm.
Well, let's back up a little further
Oh,
than that. You've
sorry.
mentioned some good things here, but including what Dave just asked. You mentioned the Behind the Glass tour and Churchill's War Room,
Right.
St. Paul's Cathedral. There is a host of companies, large companies, all the way down to some individual boutique service
Hmm.
providing tours like this. What makes the tours from the Museum of the Mighty Eighth different than the rest? Why
Great
should you pick
question.
your tour?
Yeah, I'm very proud to answer that. I think we can go back a little bit in regards to, I know there's a lot of listeners that, my grandpa flew in the 8th Air Force, my dad flew in the 8th Air Force, things all in that nature. And one of the things that sets our tour apart, and I'm very proud of this, I'm very, very proud of this. We have to remember that in the time frame that we have in terms of the scope of the tour, there were 40 heavy bombardment groups at the peak of the 8th Air Force, 40 heavy bombardment groups, 15 fighter groups, 2 reconnaissance groups, and they all had their own airfield. And some of them, switched airfields 2 or 3 or 4 times. So it's just virtually impossible for our tour to go to all of them unless we did it 24 hours a day and looked at a lot of the air bases at night. It's
Right.
just can't do it. But I know how important it is for some of our tour participants to say, my dad flew out of in the 447th Bomb Group at Rattleston, and we have certain times in our schedule where I've put in like a free morning, or you certainly can't do tours for 10 hours a day, because after about 3 days you're going to lose the interest of the tour participants. You got to give some leeway and some alone time, especially when you want to explore a city or something like that. I guess the point I'm making is that we have enough latitude in our tours where I can make, through friends or contacts, or I'll just do it myself. We have a bus available, like, say, as an example, when we're at Duxford and, my dad served at the 303rd Bomb Group at Molesworth. Well, I've got a tour bus sitting there and a driver, and he's sitting there for about 4.5 hours. You're not going to get a chance to see all of Duxford maybe that you wanted to, but what's more important, you want to go see where your dad's air base, or look at old airplanes. So I take a lot of pride in the fact that we can take some time to personalize it. And if it doesn't work out any other way, I just rent a car in Bury St. Edmunds, or rent a car in Cambridge, and then go from there. So every
Yeah.
single time that we've had a tour, and we've had a tour participant that had a loved one that served at air base, or served at a bomb group or fighter group that's not on our itinerary, I've gotten them there one way or another. I've gotten them
Do
there.
you Now, when people sign up for the tour, do you actively quiz
Oh,
them to
absolutely.
say,
Yes.
do you
Yep.
did you have a relative who was
Yeah.
it?
And
And do you tell them where their relative was in many
exactly. And
cases?
most of the time they will answer that question. And when I contact them, I'd said, I don't know if you have an interest in this, but would you like to go to your father's air base? Well, that's not on the tour. Yeah, I know, but do you want to go to your father's air base? Because I can make arrangements and make it work. And yeah, I mean, it's really, I just take, like I said, a lot of pride in that, because it's important. You're in the neighborhood. You spent all this money to come all this way, and you're not going to get a chance to see where your dad or your relative served in the 8th Air Force. That's almost criminal. So we take a lot of pride in doing that. And what makes our tours different is we just really, places like I mentioned, like Debden, the Churchill War Rooms, St. Paul's, Pine Tree. No other tour operators doing anything like that. And when I sat down and composed this, I thought, what would I really, really like to do if I had an interest in the 8th Air Force? And it's just kind of grown this, kind of organically, kind of grown over the span of the tours, and they just keep getting better and better. And it's great. We stay in very, very nice hotels, 4 and 5 star properties. There's beer and wine that's served with all the lunches. Yeah, you're responsible for very few dinners or very few lunches. All the breakfasts, of course, are included in the morning. And I actually, the very few, I don't want to call them complaints, I'll say comments that we've had. One of the comments that I guess would be kind of put into a negative tone was, the comment was, "We eat too much." Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, I guess
You're
yeah.
on vacation. You're supposed to eat
And we
too
also
much.
get a chance to meet, it's not a look through the bus window type of tour. you get out, and we have a great friends that are guest historians. And then of course when you visit the bases, I like to call them the flame keepers, because they literally keep the flames and the memories of the airmen of the 8th Air Force and that served. You get a chance to meet with the English locals, and that's a great experience. And also, I won't go into prices. You can find out all that stuff on our website. But what to make it affordable, we just ask for like $1,000 down, and then you can pay in increments or basically make your own payment plan. The only thing we ask is that the tour is fully paid for before you walk down on the concourse to board the airplane. That's fair.
Yeah.
So we can make it really affordable for people. And then we also can make accommodations that I mentioned earlier, for post tour options to extend the tour or to come in early. And we also, when a lot of concern for people is, how do I get from the airport to the hotel? Well, we don't do the thing where, everybody has to arrive and then we get on a bus and go to the hotel. We just make it simple for folks. The hotel, when you arrive, is only 20 minutes away. It's directly across the street from Windsor Castle, and you're right in the high street of Windsor. It's a beautiful city. And the hotel that we have, called the McDonald Windsor Hotel, it's a really nice boutique hotel. And like I mentioned, it's about 20 minutes away. And what we do is that you'll come out in arrivals, and there's marks with a sign with your surname on it, and then we line you up with a private car and a private driver, and you kind of feel like a rock star. Welcome to England, and you're sitting in the back of a Mercedes E-Class driving on the other side of the road. So it's a nice. It just takes all that stress or anxiety out of it, and people love it. And we do the same thing going back to the airport. We just make sure that you get there about 3 hours prior to your departure time, just in case there's any hiccups or any delays with security or anything like that. We've never had a problem. So that it just takes like I said, it just makes it easier for folks. So I guess to answer your question, that's kind of what makes our tours a little bit different.
Now, I'm assuming since you're dealing with a lot, I mean, obviously we're getting fewer and fewer veterans given the ages, but a lot of children of veterans. So you're dealing with a wide age range. I assume
Oh
that
yeah,
your tours are very accommodating to older folks
we
who might
if
not
there's
have quite the
if you say, "Oh, I can't walk that far or do anything," I mean, we don't take you on, there's no
heights.
there's no calisthenics in the morning or anything like that. No, we're very aware of that, and if you just obviously give us a heads up ahead of time that you've got some mobility issues or some challenges, we'll do whatever it takes. We always carry a wheelchair on board just in case we need it.
Right.
There's no really major walking involved. When you go to the Battle of Britain bunker at Uxbridge, you have to go down about 76 stairs, and unfortunately you got to climb up 76 stairs. But it's not a sprint. It's a nice slow run, if you will.
Yeah.
You go up 10 steps, there's a plateau. You go up another 15 steps, there's a plateau. If you got to catch your breath, we've never had an issue with anybody saying, I need to go to the hospital and get resuscitated from that experience. And most of the places there's some uneven ground, some grass and things like that you have to walk on. But for the most part, everything is flat, and we pretty much give door to door service, on most of the sites and things on that nature. So it works out great. And we have
Well,
all
good.
ages. We've had grandchildren, great grandchildren, families. That's really fun when they make it a real memory, a family memory, in honor of their late father or grandfather or what may have you. That's really special because when you're standing in an air base, and that's where your dad went to war, and that was his youth, and it certainly affected his life, and he served our country and gave us everything that we have today. And you stand there, obviously it's very emotional for people, and that makes my job really, really special. I love it.
All right, man. Well, that's a lot of information.
Well, thanks for
Um,
giving me the opportunity to tell folks about it. Why are we talking about tours on a model, a scale plastic modeling podcast? I think there's such a correlation. I mean, all of us,
Sure.
in terms of if you're a modeler, more than likely you've built military models, and we're all trying to create something in a 3D miniature, but also we're also trying to recreate accuracy and kind of more or less preserve history. And if you're working on a HK B-17 and you're doing the 100th bomb group, and you can actually pick an airplane and then go to the actual area where that airplane was parked on a hard stand, and it just makes the modeling experience so much more expansive and so much more enjoyable, just because you've stood there, and it just when that model is finished, it just to me it just has a lot more significance, because you've reached out and you've touched the history of that aircraft, or that pilot or that crew. It just to me it's such a correlation in regards to the historical aspect, and in a way you're kind of honoring them by building that model. And so that's why I think it's just important that people are aware of these things, and they have this incredible opportunity to not only just get a chance to understand and view history, but then also bring it back to the model bench. So there you go.
If somebody's interested in one of these tours, how do they find out more? How
Thanks
do
for
they
asking.
sign up? How do they inquire?
Well, our website is www.mighty8th. That's mighty as in like Mighty Mouse, Mighty Eighth, which is a plural, EIGHTH.org. You can Google it, National Museum of the Mighty Eighth Air Force, and then it's under educational travel programs. And before she passed away, I asked the widow of Roger Freeman to preserve his memory, and our tours are named in his honor. They're called the Roger A. Freeman Tours. And you can look under that. And then they have great itineraries, very visual, doesn't really hold back any secrets. And you can actually see, what we're doing. And then most importantly, look at our reviews. Look what people say about us. We've never had anything short of a 5-star review. People really love our product, and we get a lot of people they come back, for a repeat or go on a different tour. You can certainly reach out to me. My telephone number is area code 912-988-1842. That's on the website, or email me at mcopeland@mighty8th.org. So I'll be happy to answer any questions. I'm also going to talk about what's coming up here in about 6 weeks. I think we're going to Fort Wayne, boys, aren't we?
Yeah, we are.
And it's no coincidence that we let you make our accommodation arrangements.
Yeah. Well,
Again, we
it's
have a professional. We know how to tap those
I don't know.
skills.
I don't know how difficult that is, but the
Hey, you've
It was
always
easy for us.
managed.
We didn't
yeah,
have to
you
do
just
it.
That's right.
tell me how much I owe you. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We're going to be sharing a room with my dear friend Steve Husted from here in the Twin Cities, and I'm sure if you're a regular at IPMS conventions, you know his name by now, because he's
Oh,
a
yeah.
phenomenal modeler. And then we've got a gentleman coming in from Melbourne, Australia, Mr. Paul Gloucester, who's been a guest on the program. He's actually
Yeah.
flying into Minneapolis, and we're going to drive down to Fort Wayne and meet up with you guys. And then you're bringing Mr. Goldfinch, the Podfather.
Yes.
He's coming into town. So we both, as you put it, we both have our Australian trunk monkeys. So,
That's right.
so
And
yeah,
I just hope this year you'll let Gloucester ride in the car
yeah, right.
instead of making him ride on top of the car.
He's the best. I love the guy so much, and
He
we
is.
we just met on a chance meeting. I was in England at a show in Milton Keynes, and we just got to talking over a paint rack of Mister Hobby Aqueous, and one thing led to another, and we met each other in Omaha and then down in San Marcos, and he's kind of joined the family. And as you put it so many times, we have not known one another for a very long time, but I consider you guys as dear friends, as I do Paul and Steve, and it's just such a joy that we all share this wonderful passion of this hobby, but we also just have a lot of fun together.
Yes,
It's the best it's the best time of the year, like you say, Dave.
it is. And the funny thing is we met Gloucester the exact same way. It was at Roscoe Turner. And
That's
Mike and
right.
I think it might have been the first year Mike and I went to
Maybe,
with the
yeah.
podcast, and we just ran into him. And he's one of those people that you meet him and you're immediately his friend. I mean,
I knew that the second I met him. I'm gonna
yes,
you and I are gonna be friends for life. And
yep.
and yeah, we build plastic models, but he's like you gentlemen and aforementioned Steve and Paul. You all are just very quality human beings, and they're just people that I want to have in my life. And so
Aw,
we're
shucks.
very very lucky. Yeah, we're very very lucky. So
We
Well, we
are,
yeah,
appreciate it.
and
I'm gonna
I
start to
can't wait.
cry.
Yeah, there you go. Don't do that, man. I can't wait. It's 6 or 7 weeks,
It
and we're
is. Can
gonna
you
all
believe
be
it?
together. It's gonna be fantastic.
Oh my gosh, how am I gonna? I hope I just
Yeah.
have enough to get through
You
Edward. That's all.
and for everybody who's listening, if you have not pre-registered for the convention, time is running out. Please go to the website. Please pre-register for the nationals right now.
Yep. Yeah, it's at the I believe it ends at the end of the month, I think you were saying, right, Dave? And then
Yeah, yeah.
then you gotta show up and stand in line.
Then
We
you
don't wanna
don't
do
want to
that
do that.
while your buddies are cleaning out Edward.
Exactly. Why waste good modeling time?
That's right, exactly. Yeah, or good vendor time. Yeah, no
There
doubt.
you go.
Exactly. So, well, guys, thank you so much for the opportunity, and to all the listeners, I really appreciate your time and listening to this. You can tell that I'm obviously very passionate about what I do for a living, and I thank God every day that I have this opportunity because I think that's kind of one of the reasons He put me on the earth was to share my passion and my knowledge about the Eighth Air Force and take people to these amazing historic places and honor those 26,000 Eighth Air Force airmen that never came home.
Thank you very much.
Well, Mark, thank you for joining us again. It's been a pleasure having you back. And man, we had a great time with you and Steve and the gang at Heritage Con. We look forward to seeing you again here in a few weeks at Fort Wayne, Indiana for the National Convention. And we're just going to have a grand old time, man.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Absolutely, boys. And thanks again for the opportunity. And I'll look forward to seeing you very, very soon here. I love you guys.
That all sounds great. I wish you could go on all of them.
Me too. Yes, my wife has actually suggested we go on one, so that's kind of created a permission
We're halfway
structure.
there.
That's right. That's created a permission structure for me, so I may end up having to do that. I always love having Mark on. He just you look up gregarious in the dictionary, you find a picture of Mark. Always a pleasure to talk to. Very well informed. Always has great stories, and it's a good cause. Anything for any of these museums, anything we can do to get the word out for them, I'm more than happy to do.
Well, and there's a little more, and folks will get more information on what I'm about to tell you in an upcoming short. I don't know when we'll get it out, but Mark's segment has spawned a giveaway opportunity for us.
Yay.
And Mark had some involvement on a kind of a coffee table book, capsule history kind of thing on the men and machines of the 8th Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be giving away a copy of this book. So stay tuned, folks. We're going to get a short episode out, kind of like we did with the B-24 kit giveaway.
Yeah.
And we're going to have our first giveaway of the year. Hopefully it won't be last. We're kind of behind on these.
Yes, we need to get this rolling.
So stay tuned for that. We got a real nice book we're going to give away.
Plastic Model Mojo is brought to you by Squadron. Head on over to squadron.com for the latest in kits and accessories, all at a great price and with great service. Check out their wide selection of kits and supplies, including a growing range of Squadron's own line of paints and 3D printed kits and accessories. Mark your calendar for April 2nd through April 4th, 2027, and join Squadron and the Chattanooga Scale Modelers at the Chattanooga Model Con Eagle Quest 2027. Squadron, adding to the stash since 1968.
Well, Dave, I can smell the paint fumes through the microphone. I know you've been doing something.
Well, good. That's right. I can smell them, and I don't even have to smell them through the microphone. Yes, I've been painting. I took the T-33. I applied Future on it, and laid down the base coat of bare metal, which it's going to be an Indiana Air National Guard bird from the 1950s. As you can imagine, at the time, bare metal. I used a dull aluminum. Alclad dull aluminum is the base coat, and now I'm going to start paneling. One of the listeners quite a while ago, and I don't remember who it was, so if you're out there listening, email or DM and say, "It was me, it was me." But in some interaction quite a while ago, somebody turned me on to the fact that, Post-it notes,
Yeah.
and people use Post-it notes for masking all the time.
Yeah.
Did you know that 3M actually makes tape that is nothing but Post-it note adhesive?
No, I didn't know that.
Neither did I until whoever it was DM'd me or emailed me or interacted on the JoJo and said, "Hey, try this." Because I think I talked about using Post-it notes to mask something. And, Post-it notes, you're always cutting them or they're getting it away because they're, never, they're always the wrong shape or whatever, or the wrong size. And so I picked up some of this 3M Post-it note tape, and I guess it's about an inch and a half wide. It comes in various widths, as you would imagine. And so I'm going to be using that to start the paneling process. So I'll report back. And again, if you're the person who told me about it, please DM me or email me to let me know that it was you. And I'll give you proper credit.
Now, is it adhesive back edge to edge, or is it just got
Yes.
a strip along one edge of it, like a
Edge
Post-it note?
edge to edge.
Okay, so it's solid adhesive on the back.
Exactly.
Okay, that could be
But it is
advantageous.
exactly my thought, because you don't have to worry about a Post-it note flopping or not being down, covering and getting some spray up under. So I haven't used it yet. I'm just about to.
Where'd you get it?
God, I think I got it off Amazon,
Oh, okay.
which is
easy enough.
it's a Space Lord Bezos gets more of my money than I care to think about. So, and in addition to the T-33, I think I mentioned the Ukrainian company Art Scale Kits, ASK,
Yeah.
makes these resin Japanese Zero engines in 72nd scale that are insanely finely detailed.
Yep.
And I got several a number of months ago, and I primed one and was just stunned at it. And so the other day when I was sitting here on the bench and I didn't feel like doing anything else, I pulled it out and I started painting it, trying to detail paint it. And it's a real challenge. It's a kind of a good practice for me and my tremors and all of that, because it is insanely detailed and you are painting very tiny details. But I started painting it and I'm having fun, and boy, it looks good. It looks good. I cannot wait. I'm going to have to do another Japanese Zero just because of this. Just because of this engine. So the Zero has moved up my build list yet again. Frankly, I need to be like Barry Numeric and have a Zero in production at all times. So, and other than that, the Hellcat is completely oiled and it's ready for bits and bobs and a satin coat and peeling off the canopy masks, and it'll be done. So it should definitely be done for nationals.
We'll see. You say that every year, man.
Yeah, I know. We'll see. Hey, don't pick on me. What's your bench been like?
I got my little fuel drum strap repaired that I was needing to get fixed on the KV-85. And what else did I do? I did some cleanup work on the tow cable ends. I got to looking at those again and wasn't too happy. Who made those? Eureka.
Mm-hmm.
made those. They're like copper wire, and then they've got resin cast loops on the end of them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a bad mold seam on the inside of those things. So I was working on that with some Mr. Surfacer, trying to get that cleaned out. And also tried to use some blackening fluid on the copper, see what that would do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't like the results of that.
So you think you're probably just going to go in and
I'll just paint them, yeah.
paint it steel and then go back and
I don't know. I'll figure something out. But
were the tow cables left unpainted, or did they just spray them?
Probably sprayed them once, barely, and
yeah,
went from there.
And then every time they got used, paint got rubbed off,
or it
started rusting.
And they may have been oiled too.
Okay,
to keep them from rusting. I don't recall, but I did a little work there. I think I touched up the primer and resprayed a few areas. I think I talked about that last time, but that's about it. It's been slow. There's been a lot going on around there still, but slowly getting it back to the bench and knocking out a few things.
We'll be between cars and launching things into space and recovering things from space and hiring people, and hiring people. You've got and getting prepared to move your youngest out. I'm going through that same thing too. I sympathize. I completely sympathize.
And it's that warm weather time of year, so it tends to tail off in the summer for a lot of folks, me included.
Yeah,
but I'm plucking away at it. I need to get on it, man. I need to do some more work. I've managed to not start anything new.
Well, that's good.
That's good. So I need to get some green paint on the KV before I even think about that.
Yeah. Yeah. You've at least got to get into base color before you're allowed to start something new.
Well, that's all I got.
Okay. Better than nothing.
Model builders know Bases by Bill for innovative display solutions for any scale model project. Bases by Bill creates custom hardwood bases with engraved or full-color placards that include text, unit emblems, and national insignia for the perfect finishing touch on your next aircraft, armor, or ship. And when your aircraft project is complete, show it off in style. Choose from aircraft carrier decks from World War II to the modern era, or airfield-style bases that showcase any aircraft. With contest and show season here, Bases by Bill can also craft your club's major awards, plus 1, 2, 3, or gold, silver, bronze. A wide range of styles and options are perfect for clubs of any size and budget. Visit basesbybill.com, because there's always something new at Bases by Bill.
Lots of new kits and accessories are coming out. It's the summer, but the new kit announcements and the detail parts and all that, they're coming in hot and heavy. So what have you seen that you've liked or has made you scratch your head?
These are all kind of in between this time, man. They're all kind of just filling in blanks for information that we've been curious about with some of these makers, and some of them are just novel, even though they're not something I might want to build. First up for me is a company going under the name Yark, YARK,
Okay.
yet another resin kit.
Right.
They've come out with some Cheyenne tail turrets for both the Hong Kong models and the monogram B-17s.
Yeah.
And what I found interesting about these, because I've never really looked. This one was put right in front of me because it's at the top of the list on the ScaleMates recently, that the top of that turret is one piece of clear 3D printed resin. So you mask the windows and after you got it installed, right?
Right.
I just thought it was really interesting that it was a 3D printed piece.
Clear 3D printed.
Clear 3D printed.
Yep.
Because I've yet to lay my eyes on first person something that's printed with the current state of the art printing in a clear resin. I'm just curious if anybody else has, because I think I've at least known something about some of these being in some other kits some other makers, aircraft kits in particular. But this is like a good solution if the clarity's there. Now, granted, some of those things had really thick glass in them anyway.
Right.
Well, they did, armored glass essentially. So I'm not sure how clear it looked from the outside looking in at a distance anyway.
Well, and that's an area of evolving technology. You and I have talked about 3D printing before. In fact, I know a new 3D printer is somewhere on your list, maybe not up as high as it used to be.
No, not as high as it was for the car crap, but
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. But the evolution that's taking place, A, in 3D printers, but B, in the chemicals that make up the resin. I mean, we've seen leaps and bounds just in the last 4 or 5 years. I have to assume that's gonna continue.
Oh, it'll continue for sure.
Even if it's not quite there now, I would bet that clear 3D print resin is gonna be pretty dang good a year or 2 from now,
And it may be perfectly adequate today. I don't know.
and it might.
What you got?
Well, this is one I've kind of previously mentioned. One of our favorite manufacturers, SBS out of Hungary,
Yeah, I wonder if they're
Uh,
doing this.
they're doing Hasegawa has done several versions of the in 72nd scale of the F2A Buffalo. Well, SBS is doing upgrades for the Hasegawa kit. They did one to do one version and announced it a number of months ago. Well, now they've just announced 2 other conversions for 2 other versions of the Buffalo. And I just know from having a number of SBS items,
Yeah,
the quality that is
pretty good.
involved. And so I cannot wait to see these in person, and I know as soon as I see them, I will buy them. I mean, it's inevitable.
Well, my next one's from Blast out of France. Now,
Okay.
they've made a lot of armor accessories and stuff in the
Right.
past. Traditional mastering and resin casting up until recently, apparently.
Mhm.
This is one of those we're in the golden age of modeling kind of kits. Now, it's a 3D print this time from Blast,
Uh-huh.
but it is a Killinger and Freund streamlined motorcycle in 35th scale.
Okay. What is that?
It is a front wheel drive motorcycle that was developed in Germany in the 20s
Uh-huh.
into the early 30s. Again, it's front wheel drive, so that makes it really unique.
Right.
What makes it crazy is it's got streamlined Art Deco design. So it's got big swooping fender skirts on it, and the whole chassis got a very fluid shape to it. There's a real famous photograph of a GI sitting on this thing when they found it.
Now, were they actually used by the German military?
No, it was a civilian.
Okay.
Civilian.
Civilian.
bike.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I don't know that it ever went into serial production.
Gotcha.
But it's just this crazy, crazy motorcycle. It looks like a Buck Rogers motorcycle. That's what it looks like. But I was just thinking that was a golden age, man, because this is something that would probably not have been kitted in 35th scale. Now, you could maybe see it had been kitted in some motorcycle scale, but I think I looked at the history on the subject on Scalemates, and this is the only kit that they had a record of ever being kitted to this thing. So kind of crazy.
That is interesting. I'll have to look at that.
Yeah. Got another one?
Yes, I do. Now, this one's kind of interesting. I like the HE-177. I have a number of the kits, of the Revell kits, which is a really good kit, and I have a lot of accessories for it. And CMK many years ago made HE-177 wheels, and I have a set. They're very nice resin wheels. Well, they have announced new, which they show as new, not repop. They've apparently remastered the HE-177 wheels, and have re-released them or released a new version. And so I'm interested in these because I want to pick them up and compare them to the resin ones that I have that are at least 10 years old. So I kind of want to see how they compare side to side. How
Yeah.
about you?
Well, I was going to say, sure, the CMK wheels you bought originally are still the same dimer they were when you bought them?
We'll see that. Yes, they were very good. I have them. I know right where they were. I've actually painted them.
Are they still around?
Yes, they are still
I've
around.
had some of their armor stuff in the past, and
Right. Resin over time can be an
something-
issue.
yeah, something had changed by the time I got around to thinking about using it.
Yep.
My next one, we talked, I don't know, last episode or the time before that, all that vague dragon announcement.
Right.
And then it was put out that Zimmy Models had taken possession of some of their tooling.
Right.
And then there was that one kit that was released under this name Drammy, which was apparently the name they were going to market these X-Dragon things through. Well, they've dropped seven models, I think, 7 or 8 of these new acquisitions, and looks like the first tranche of these are all the King Tiger kits.
Oh, okay.
And then Hanomag SDKFZ 251 Type C, and then one of the American half tracks. I can't remember which one, but they're still Dragon. They're the Dragon kits,
Right.
but we'll see where this goes, which ones they actually got. But the first 7 or 8 are on announcement now. So if folks were fans of these, there you go. You got them back.
Well, it'll be interested to see what upgrades / changes that they've done.
Yeah, it will be. I didn't even think of that. I didn't dig into them too deep, but I just saw all the box art, and it's like, oh, great, King Tigers.
Yeah. Ooh, Panthers. My next one is a company I've never heard of. As you know, I'm an armored car fan.
Yeah.
And I got to say, I like the Russian armored cars particularly. There's a company called Lancer Model that I have never heard of in 72nd scale has announced a BA3.
Okay.
And looks really interesting. Now, I've got to think in 72nd scale, that's going to be not that big.
No, it's going to be not much smaller than that Flyhawk BT7.
G7, exactly. So interested to see it. I like the subject. I've never heard of the company before. If anybody, by the way, has a kit from the company called Lancer.
Where are they from?
That is a great question to which I do not know the answer. I just assumed Eastern or Ukraine or somewhere in Eastern Europe, but I don't know for sure.
Okay. Well, my last one kind of throws an interesting light on this whole Dragon Zimmy Drammy thing.
Okay.
I think it was before the Zimmy Models sell-off was announced. Dragon, under that last branding thing they did, that Mono X,
Yeah.
they re-released a few of their kits.
Yep.
Announced they were redoing that Type 2 Kami amphibious tank, the one that drops the front and back end once it gets to shore.
Mm-hmm.
Coming out from Dragon.
Yeah.
So
I saw that.
what's going on? If that one gets in front of me, I'm probably going to buy that one. That one interests me. That one's kind of cool, but are they in or are they out? I don't know. Maybe the answer is yes.
Yeah, right. Well, it's a developing story. We're not going, unlike some people, we're not going to speculate. We're just going to say it's out there, let people know. And as the story develops and facts come in, we'll tell you what we find out.
Or we'll all learn together on Scalemates what's going on. Well, you got any more?
I got one more. By the way, Lancer is out of Russia.
Oh, see, I had one out of Russia too. I'm not even going to mention it.
Yeah, well. Oh, well. Finally, and this is kind of a twofer, Arma has released their ME262. I've mentioned it previously. They just announced a new version of the ME262 with the GR21 air-to-air mortars under the nose.
Yeah.
So we're getting that version, which is great because I want to see all the ME262 versions released. And on that subject, IBG has just recently announced that they're doing the ME262B trainers and night fighters. And so again, yay. So can't wait. And those are definite faves for me. I'll be picking up all of those.
Plastic Model Mojo is brought to you by Model Paint Solutions, your source for Harder and Steenbeck airbrushes, David Union power tools, and laboratory-grade mixing, measuring, and storage tools for use with all your model paints, be they acrylic, enamels, or lacquers. Check them out at www.modelpaintsolutions.com.
This is the point in the episode where I ask you, when you're done with the episode, please rate us on whatever podcasting app you're listening. Give us 5 stars. It helps us to drive growth. Additionally, if you have modeling friends that don't listen to Plastic Model Mojo, please tell them about it. Tell them that you like us and encourage them to listen. And if they need a little help learning how to listen to podcasts, please show them. We appreciate it. It's the best way for us to get new listeners. Thank you.
And check out the other podcasts out there in the model sphere. And you can do that by going to www.modelpodcast.com. That's Model Podcast plural. It's a consortium website set up with the help of Stuart Clark from the Scale Model Podcast up in Canada. And man, I hope we can hear more from them sometime.
I need to reach out to Stuart.
Stuart has aggregated all the banner links to the active and inactive, I think, podcasts out in the model sphere. And you can go to modelpodcast.com and find them all. One-stop shop. And we've got a lot of blog and YouTube friends out there in the model sphere as well. We got folks like Panzermeister 36, Evan McCallum, who hope we see at Nationals.
Yep.
He's got a great YouTube channel. Stephen Lee, Sprue Pie with Frets, great blog, great long and short form content there. You're going to really like what he's got going on. A lot of 70-second scale content. And if you don't get enough there, visit Jeff Groves, the Inch High Guy blog, almost entirely 70-second scale. He just finished that little Polish riverboat.
Yes, he did.
And I did look at his Russian batch build.
Yep. And he also just posted today the Krieg's fish cutter.
That's right. I saw that over lunch.
70-second scale German trawler. And that thing is just a pallet waiting for people to do things with it. So it was nice to see him build it up, and I can't wait to see what else he does with it. Well, I happen to know some of the things he's doing with it, so you'll just have to keep looking at his blog.
Speaking of blogs, we got Chris Wallace, Model Airplane Maker. He's got a blog and he's got a YouTube channel and does a real good job. So go get your bare metal finish information there, Dave.
There you go.
And finally, Dr. Paul Budzik, Scale Model Workshop. You can check out the latest from Dr. Paul on Patreon and some of it on YouTube, but you should subscribe to his Patreon channel. It's worth it.
If you are not a member of IPMS USA, please join. Join your national organization in whatever country you happen to live in. They're a great organization made up of volunteers who give up some of their time to try and make the modeling experience better for everybody. Also, if you are into armor or post-1900 figure modeling, the Armor Modeling Preservation Society is for you. It's a great group of guys who are dedicated to the art of armor and post-1900 figure modeling. Check them out. My Dr. Pepper didn't disappoint. Of course, it never does. The alcohol by volume on my Dr. Pepper is 0.0. We don't want to talk about the sugars and carbs, but it's good. And if you want to do something really interesting, put a little in a pan and heat it up and taste it heated. You'd be interested to see what you think it is or what it tastes like.
They used to advertise it that way back in the
Did they
50s.
really? I didn't know that.
Or whenever it came out. Let's look into that.
I did not know that. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check the history out a little more. So how was your mojito?
This is carbonated ditch water.
So what's the ABV on the ditch water?
5%.
I think those things are limited to 5% though, so they can be sold. And
I bet the sugars are not far off your Dr. Pepper.
Probably not.
I'm gonna need some fillings after this.
Are you?
I'm not gonna finish this.
Okay, I was gonna say, are you telling me that this isn't a quality mojito?
No.
Okay.
I bet it's not. I bet if you line up all the canned mojitos, this one's probably
bottom.
Probably near the bottom, I guess. I don't know.
Okay. Well, okay, listeners, if you want Mike to do a canned mojito taste test in the future.
No.
Right. Darn it.
Nope, not doing it. No, this was going on vacay, clean out the fridge. What have I got?
Okay. Well, darn it. I thought I could get him to do something. Apparently, he's cut me off at the pass.
So, I was trying to lockstep with you. Do you get to the point where you can have a little modeling fluid again?
Next episode.
Okay. Well, I'm going to get something good because I tried to cheat and it didn't work out. So
well,
it's karmic.
Okay. So now say the brand again so people don't go out and buy this thing.
All Play. Whatever, man.
All right.
Not good.
Mike, we're at the end of the episode. Do you have any shout outs you want to shout out?
Well, I want to shout out Mark for coming back on and giving us the spiel on all the tours. That was a lot of fun.
Yes.
And for being our travel agent for Nationals.
Yes. And not only for Nationals, he did it for Heritage Con as well.
That's right. Well, for his entourage.
Yes.
Other than that, we just got to shout out all the fine folks who've contributed to Plastic Model Mojo through their generosity. Folks continue to do that, and it's much appreciated. If you'd like to join the ranks of the contributors, you can go to the support the show link on the website, and you'll find all the Patreon, PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee links there. Several avenues that you can do that. And
I'd like to also shout out Mark. Thank you for coming on, Mark. You did a great job. I'd also like to thank him for promoting the Museum of the Mighty 8th Air Force. Mike and I, in addition to supporting shows, we want to support museums, particularly less well-known museums. We obviously do, we do the one with Winter Blitz, the Museum of the American GI that hosts Winter Blitz. Obviously, we have Mark on to talk about the 8th Air Force Museum and the tours. If you are associated with a museum, particularly if you're associated with a museum that supports a model club or whatever, please reach out. Mike and I we'd love to support and advertise the museum to help people know more about them. Additionally, I want to thank everybody who has responded with organizational tips. Please keep those coming in. Thank you very much.
All right, man. That's all I got.
That's all I got, too. Why don't you get on to vacation? You know what they say.
So many kits, Dave.
So little time, Mike.